Sup nerds, as you can see we are in Eternum today. I wanted to make this video simply because though there are several databases around, a lot of the information can be confusing or contradicting with some of the in-game info. In this specific case, the names of items when you try to transmog them can be different from the names of the same item in your inventory. I don't know why or how that happened since transmog was added way later into the game. One would assume they had a list of items that are currently in game, but alas, a lot of them have different names, some even switch names with different set of items. It's a big confusion. So fashion fans, this one's for you. In a true nerd bucket way, we are looking at every activity specific armor that you can get in the new world today, to use transmog tokens on of course, which means no cash shop skins. Not that many of them look that cool anyway. No open world boss or chest drop, since those don't really feel like a specific activity and a lot of the drops in there do overlap, so including those will make this a very messy video. We'll be talking only about the armors that you can specifically get on specific activities. So are you ready? Let's go! First, let's start with the crafting. Won't be talking about all of these since there are way too many craftable armors. Some of them even look exactly the same, so we are skipping most of them. We're just going to be talking about the last few, which it so happens that are the ones that I think look the best. So yeah, at around level 200 of the armor crafting, you can craft the Spinweave light armor, which at the Transmog NPC it's called Heroic Light. This is one of my favorite outfits. It is one of the first outfits that I spent transmog on. I just think it looks great on a female character. At around the same armor crafting level, you can also craft the dark leather medium armor. At the Transmog NPC, it's called the Heroic Medium. Remembering, of course, you don't have to pick up all of these, of course, you can just pick the ones you like and then make an outfit of your own. Now, it is important to note that most of these sets, I don't enjoy the helmet. I don't know what it is about the helmet. Maybe it was a different designer for the helmet compared to the armor sets. A lot of them do make it look like the helmet doesn't fit the rest of the set. They do look much bigger than the set. They do look wonky. A lot of them don't seem to make sense, just look goofy. So I don't really like the helmet here. Another armor that you can craft around the level 200 of armor crafting is the Mythril armor, or as the Transmog NPC calls it, the Heroic Heavy. I think it looks great. Don't think the armor looks too heavy, but this is definitely one of the best looking helmets I think, so I do keep this around just to mix and match with some of the other heavy armors to see if they look good or not. Still in crafting, at a slightly lower armor crafting level, there is the Chitin light armor, or in Transmog called Scorpion Chitin Light. The Chitin medium armor, or in Transmog, the Scorpion Chitin Medium. And of course the Chitin Heavy armor, or in Transmog, Scorpion Chitin Heavy. And I do like how the Heavy looks like. I do like this helmet quite a bit. I think it looks like Gundam-esque. Now moving on to expeditions. Every expedition can drop armor or their expedition specific material, which you can use to craft those droppable armors. Unless the armor is droppable on mutated expeditions, those can't be crafted. Then on mutated, there's also the boss specific armor, which they can't be crafted by normal means, but you can craft them at the gypsum kiln. That said, the first expedition, Amrine excavation, does not have a mutated version of it, so it is only the normal droppable armor which logically can be crafted if you get enough of the expedition specific material. But here in Amrine Excavation specifically, the craftable light armor is called Amrine Scout. That said, here's where it gets a little messy. This is what the set looks like if you craft them, but if you look it up on the Transmog, you will see that they are a little mixed up. The chest piece is from Desecrator Light, but the rest are from Excavator Light. Now, the rest of the Desecrator set can be dropped in the Expedition, but I'm not sure that the Excavator chest can drop from there, or at least I haven't gotten any Excavator chest, medium or heavy either, even though I've done this Expedition 1,000 times. Now, why did they mix up these two sets? Or was it even done on purpose? I have no idea. But it is interesting to note that if you compare the two sets, the Excavator set does seem to be the adventurer before going to the Expedition, and the Desecrator set looks like the same adventurer after having looted everything in the Expedition. The two sets look very similar, with different details. This is true for the medium and heavy as well. My guess is that the Excavator set was what was supposed to be craftable in the town, and that the Desecrator one would be the droppable one, and in doing so they would be telling a sort of story through these items. But alas, whether they scrapped the idea or if they just mixed it up accidentally, I have no idea. But this is the way it is right now. It is the same thing with the medium armor. It is called the Amrine Tracker, but of course, at the Transmog, the rest of the set is called the Excavator Medium, except for the chest piece, which is called the Desecrator Medium chest. But if you just look at it and compare the two, they do look very similar, except the Excavator looks like the adventurer before they set off to go into the dungeon, and the Desecrator looks like the same adventurer after having loaded the dungeon. A lot of the armor does look the same. You can see the masks thing has come down. They just have a lot of treasure just fitted everywhere. Maybe it's something they had planned, maybe not, I don't really know. I just know that these are very similar looking armor sets that are obviously supposed to be somehow connected. Same thing with the heavy armor. It is called the Amrine Guard for the rest of the game, but in Transmog, the other parts, except for the chest, is called the Excavator Heavy, and the chest piece is called the Desecrator Heavy. Now on to Starstone Barrows, which is the first dungeon that can have a mutated version. On the normal mode, you can drop and craft the light armor called Obelisk Outrider, which at the Transmog is called the Ancient Mage. I do like this one quite a bit. I think whoever designed the armors did a really great job. They do have a lot of details, they do look amazing. It's just that the helmet, I'm not a huge fan of the helmets like I said before. For medium armor, it is called Obelisk Pathfinder, but at the Transmog is called Tomb Guardian, which is interesting because it looks completely different from the light armor. And we'll get into it when we talk about the next set, which of course is the heavy armor. It is called the Obelisk Infantry, or in Transmog, Ancient Spearman. You can see that this and the light armor are somehow connected. They do look very similar in aesthetic, and they have the word ancient in the name. Except for the medium one. The medium one doesn't have the word ancient on it, nor does it look like it's a part of this set. One would assume that this was not part of this set. For whatever reason, they chose to include this medium armor in this dungeon. But of course, the in-game name is Obelisk like the others, but it's just that at the Transmog, it's not the same name. Which is interesting. It makes me wonder, where did this name come from? The Transmog stuff seemed to be more correct in some ways, so maybe it's something they corrected later, and that's why they put those names in, but then they didn't go back to correct the in-game names. I don't know. I don't even know why they're different to begin with, but you know, it is what it is. Now at the mutated Starstone barrows, you can drop the light armor called Heartgem Avenger, which at the Transmog is called Heartgem Avenger Light. So far so good, I guess they just added the word light after it. The mutated medium set is called the Heartgem Fanatic. You can see the last word changed there, but in the Transmog it is still the Heartgem Avenger, it's just the medium version of it now. Same thing for the mutated heavy, it is called the Heartgem Monarch, but the Transmog is still called the Heartgem Avenger, just that he has the word heavy after it. And still in the mutated, you can get the boss item, which is the named medium set called the Simon Gray's armor. And like I mentioned, these boss sets, they can be dropped, but they can also be crafted at the gypsum kiln if you have materia to spare. Moving on to the depths, the crafted/dropped light set here is a Deepmist Spy, or at the Transmog, Spectral Spikes Light. The medium set is the Death Guards, or in the Transmog, the Spectral Spike Medium. The heavy set here is called the Deep Wardens, or in the Transmog, Spectral Spikes Heavy. And let me just say, this one looks fantastic. Even though the helmet is just a recolor of Simon's Grey, I think the aesthetic of this heavy set looks pretty cool. Reminds me of Lancelot from Fate Stay Night. Pretty fantastic. I do like this quite a bit. The mutated light set here is called the Imbued Waxen Light, or in Transmog just Waxen Light. With the same logic there, the medium mutated set here is called Imbued Waxen Medium, or in Transmog just Waxen Medium. The heavy mutated set here is called Imbued Waxen Heavy, or just Waxen Heavy at the Transmog. The boss set on this one is called Expedition Captains, or at the Transmog, Horizon Commanders. Again, very different names, and because the names are different, if you do pick up these items and then you want to get the Transmog for it, looking up the name of the item, you won't find it. You will have to look at the icon of the image and look for that. And sometimes the Transmog of certain heavy armors are not in heavy armor, you find them on medium. So looking through all of these images, not only does it take a long time, it can be like not at the place that you're looking at. So knowing the names at the Transmog is the way to go. But like I said, they're different. It's very unintuitive. I hope New World one day does fix this so that they have the same names for the in-game and the Transmog sets. Then moving on to Dynasty Shipyard, the crafted/dropped normal light set is called the Shipyard Watch, or at the Transmog Dynastic Enchanter. The medium set is called Shipyard Lookout, or at the Transmog, Dynasty Footman. And the heavy set is called Shipyard Guard, or at the Transmog Dynastic Guard. The chest piece on this one I do think looks very cool. The helmet and the rest not so much, kind of makes you look like a dwarf of some sort, but you know, it is what it is. Now onto the mutated. The light set here is called Smile Light, and surprisingly it has the same name in the Transmog. But this is definitely the Batman who laughs, no? I don't know what this has to do with Dynasty Shipyard. Feels like something that should have been a part of a crossover event or even a Halloween event, but it is here. They decided to put it here as the mutated reward. Why, I don't know, but this is most definitely the Batman who laughs. Now, the mutated medium set is the Smile Medium, with the same name for the Transmog. Not sure what this one is supposed to be, but the face mask here, it does seem like Batman, does it not? It does give the Batman vibe. The armor, I'm not too sure. Doesn't look like any Batman I've seen, but it does give off that masked vigilante kind of vibe. I don't know. Maybe it's a Batman thing. Given that the light armor is very Batman influenced, I assume this one is too. Now for the mutated heavy, it is the Smile Heavy with the same Transmog name. And I think the face on this one is supposed to be heavily influenced by the Joker who wears his own face as a mask, but again, not too sure. And again, nothing to do with Dynasty. And the boss set here is the Empress Zhao's light armor with the same Transmog name. And of course the likeness of this is of the boss of the dungeon, of the expedition. Now onto Lazarus instrumentality. The crafted/drop normal light set here is called the Guardian Flanker, or Guardian Light at the Transmog. The medium armor is called Guardian Spear Marshal, or Guardian Medium at the Transmog. The heavy is called the Guardian Plate, or Guardian Heavy at the Transmog. Again, I think the helmet kind of ruins the set. Honestly, there aren't that many helmets that look good in this game. I do like the Mythril helmet. I think this one goes well with a lot of the heavy sets. So whenever I pick something up, I'll try the helmet on, just to see. But yeah, there's no rule saying that you have to use the entire set. You can just get pieces of different Transmogs to mix and match. You know, that's why I'm showing all of these, so that you can look at it, see what you like, see what you don't like, pick the ones you want, mix and match. The mutated light armor is the Forgotten Protector's Light, with the same name at the Transmog. The medium mutated armor is called the Forgotten Protector's Medium, with also the same name for the Transmog. The heavy mutated armor is the Forgotten Protector's Heavy, with the same name for the Transmog. The boss armor here is called Chardy's Heavy Armor. Now on to Garden of Genesis. The crafted/dropped light armor is the Dryad Patroller, or its transmog name, the Dryad Guard Light. The medium armor is the Dryad Stalker, or the Dryad Guard Medium. And the heavy armor is called Dryad Guard, or the Dryad Guard Heavy. Again, this time they decided to focus on the heavy one for the transmog names. So again, we see that there's no real standard to the naming of these sets. In Starstone Barrows, it was the light armor's name that they used for the transmog names, and here is the heavy. So maybe there are just no rules. For the mutated light armor is the Warden Light, or the Sylvan Filigree Light in transmog. The medium armor is the Warden Medium, or the Sylvan Filigree Medium in transmog. The heavy is the Warden Heavy, or the Sylvan Filigree Heavy. Here, the boss armor is the named light armor called Blighted Growth. Onto Ennead, we have quite a few sets here. The dropped/crafted light armor here is the 19th Hunters, or in transmog the 19th Legionnaire Light. The medium armor is the 19th Signifier, or the 19th Legionnaire's Medium. The heavy armor is the 19th Guardian, or the 19th Legionnaire Heavy in transmog. The mutated light armor here is called the Desert Berserker, or the Grand Legion Light Armor. The mutated medium armor is called the Leather Gladiator, or the Grand Legion Medium in transmog. The mutated heavy armor is called the Grand General, or the Grand Legion Heavy in transmog. I like how this one looks a lot, except for the arms maybe. There's too much fur going on, but you could try to mix and match with some of the other Roman sets, and I think it could look great. The helmet here is just great. There are a few boss sets in here, and one of them is a named heavy armor called the Aureate. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. The Aureates, Or in Transmog, the Golden Aureate Heavy. There's also the Sun Lord's Light Armor with the same Transmog name. And of course there's the Julian Heavy, which is not boss specific, but it does draw from mutated runs. This I think is the best looking one of the bunch. A lot of people use their Transmog tokens for this one, and the helmet, I think this one looks even better than the Grand General one. Now onto Tempest Heart. The crafted/dropped light armor here is a Tempest Guard Light, or, in Transmog, the Shattered Soul Light. Medium armor is a Tempest Guard Medium, or the Shattered Soul Medium. The heavy armor here is a Tempest Guard Heavy, or the Shattered Soul Heavy. Now, interestingly enough, there is a second craftable heavy from this dungeon. It is called the Nashatun's Heavy, with the same Transmog name. And I think this one looks fantastic. Though the helmet again, a little too much, though it's passable when worn together with the rest of the set. Without the helmet, it can look amazing as well. Then, for the mutated light, there's the Cursed Zealot's Light. The medium mutated is the Cursed Zealot's Medium. And the heavy is the Cursed Zealot's Heavy, all with the same Transmog names. Then, the boss armor here is, of course, Isabella's light armor with the same Transmog name. Now onto the Empyrean Forge. The craftable/droppable light armor here is the Empyrean light armor with the same Transmog name. The medium armor is the Empyrean medium armor with the same Transmog name. The heavy armor here is the Empyrean heavy armor with the same transmog name. The mutated light armor here is the padded molten with the same transmog name. The mutated medium is called the wrapped molten armor with the same transmog name. And the heavy mutated armor is the insulated molten with the same transmog name. The boss armor here is also the Fire Lord's Heavy with the same transmog name, and I did use this for quite a while back in the days, and I think it looks pretty cool. The helmet does look a bit too extra. It is taking the likeness of the boss, so in this case I think is still pretty good. Now onto barnacles and black powder. The crafted / dropped light armor is the Helmsman's armor, or the marine light armor in transmog. The medium armor is the sailor's armor, or the marine's medium armor in transmog. And of course for the heavy, it is the Marine's armor, or Marine's heavy armor in transmog. Again, this one does go with the heaviest name for the transmog name of all three sets. The mutated light armor here is the Brine light armor. The mutated medium armor here is the Brine medium set. And of course the heavy mutated armor is the Brine heavy armor. There are also two boss armors here. One is the Admiral's light armor. The other is the Siren's medium armor. I think this one looks great. it does look like something out of a Monster Hunter game, but the helmet does look a bit off. Yes, it does look like a sea monster thing, but it does look like a different monster than what the rest of the set is made from. Now on to Savage Divide. In this expedition, the crafted/dropped items and the mutated sets, they look exactly the same, changing just the name. On normal runs, they're called the Bestial set, and the mutated runs are called the Primal sets, but they do look exactly the same. The light armor here is the Bestial or Primal Scholar, or in Transmog called the Crystal Claw Lion Light. The medium armor here is the Bestial or Primal Ranger, or in Transmog, the Crystal Claw Gorilla Medium. The helmet here does not look anything like a gorilla, just had to mention that. It does look like an insect kind of thing, so I'm not sure it goes well with the set. Again, I don't know what is up with these crazy helmets. The heavy armor here is the Bestial or Primal Soldier, or in Transmog, the Crystal Claw Mammoth Heavy. And again, look at this helmet, what is that? Now, on to Glacial Tarn. The crafted/drop light armor here is the Porcelain, or in Transmog, the Cold-Hearted Light. That said, I think on these, the Transmog name is correct, because this set looks like it has nothing to do with Porcelain, and we'll see with the other sets as well, the Transmog name seems to be the correct one. The medium armor here is the Glacial Captain, or in Transmog, the Tarnished Excavator. And though this one might seem like a captain, the names here are switched with the mutated ones, and I'll show you that that one looks a lot more like a captain. The heavy armor here is the Ice Steel armor, or in Transmog, the Black Ice. And again, look at it. The name Black Ice does seem way more fitting than Ice Steel, because it is an icy armor that looks black. Now onto the mutated armors, they have the name just switched around from the normal ones. So the mutated light armor here is the Cold-Hearted Scholar, or in Transmog, the Porcelain armor. And from the mask you can definitely see that this does look more like porcelain than the normal armor. The mutated medium here is the Tarnished Excavator Ranger, or in Transmog, the Glacial Captain, and here you go. This definitely looks more like a captain than an excavator. And the mutated heavy armor is of course the Black Ice Soldier, or in Transmog, the Ice Steel. And this one has no black metal in it, so obviously Ice Steel does seem more like a fitting name than Black Ice. So I don't know why the name was switched between them, and if they fixed it on the Transmogs, why not fix them in game too? It may confuse some of the players that use these sets, but let's face it, not many people are using them, and it's nothing that a patch note couldn't do. It just feels like a "that's not what I'm paid to do" kind of moment. There are also two named armors here, one being the Arctic Valkyrian medium, which looks exactly like the Glacial Captain, so we'll skip over that one. But there's also the heavy armor Frigid Dawn with the same Transmog name. I like the helmet quite a bit here, so do a lot of people, but not a huge fan of the chest piece. I think the Ice Steel chest piece looks better with the helmet. That said, the Frigid Dawn set is a very popular one for its stats. Now, with all the expeditions done, let's move on to the next activities, specifically Invasion. From Invasion you can get the light armor Invasion Marksman. And may I just repeat again that most of these outfits, they have great detail and it looks amazing for the most part. The medium armor is the Invasion Skirmisher. This too, look at it, it just looks amazing, though the helmet looks a bit extra. And the heavy armor is the Invasion Commander. Now this, I'm not too sure. The chest looks great, but the gloves and boots don't look like they're from a heavy set. The helmet looks atrocious. The medium helmet will look better here, I think. But this helmet is just too goofy. Now moving on to some PvP activities. In both OPR and 3v3 chests, you can get the light armor, the Rusher Cloth, or the Outpost Rush Light in Transmog. The medium armor is the Rusher Leather or Outpost Rush Medium in the Transmog. This chest piece is by far my favorite. I'm not too sure what is up with the faceless head. I think if the hood came down a little bit more to cover the forehead, it could look a lot cooler, but the way it is right now, the face mask being a bit too big and the hood just being a little too back, it makes it feel a little goofy. The heavy armor here is the Rusher Plate, or in Transmog, the Outpost Rush Heavy. I feel like the medium stuff looks more heavy than this one, and I'm also not sure what's going on with the helmet here either. Now onto wars, which you can only do if you're a part of a guild that is fairly active. So not as many people could be wearing this if you are into more rare outfits, but you can get the Field Cavalryman Light Armor, and this one looks pretty interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Napoleon look, but it's not bad. The medium armor is the Field Infantry Medium Armor, and this one looks pretty amazing. Changing the helmet to the light one can also look cool too. And the heavy armor is the Field Commander Heavy Armor. Again, the helmet looks atrocious, I'm not sure what it is with these. The chest does make it look stocky even on a female model, and because of the colors, changing the helmets here doesn't seem to really help. The medium one can pass as a heavy armor, I guess, but this heavy armor, I don't know. It feels like a miss to me, unless what you're going for is to look like a medieval fantasy dwarf. Now, doing any of the previous PvP activities will level you up on the PvP track, and there are few PvP track exclusive armors. There's the Crown Fighter Light. This, I'm not too sure. The gloves look great, the helmet looks terrible, but they are both golden, but the rest of the armor is like blue and red. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's the Crown Fighter Medium, which definitely looks a lot better. The helmet still looks slightly extraterrestrial, but the rest looks great. You could use the Invasion Commander chest on here, and I think that could look okay. The Crown Fighter Heavy. This one looks pretty cool. Not a huge fan of the helmet, but still kinda matches. The black gloves matches with the outfit, but if you want, if you put the Crown Fighter Light gloves on this one. I think it can go pretty well with the chest piece, but of course, mix and matching is all personal preference. There's also the light armor Grand Overseer. This one kind of looks like a mosquito helmet. The back of it even looks like you have some kind of small wings, so maybe it is supposed to look like a mosquito. I'm not too sure. But the overall look seems more low-key, and that can be pretty good, I think. The medium armor here is the Grand Undertaker. The Grand Undertaker gloves and helmet looks to be from a different set. The rest looks pretty awesome, like some kind of Dark Lord armor. That said, the glove can be pretty cool because it does have see-through holes like you're actually having skeleton hands, but the helmet, again, it's always that little extra. Like why couldn't they just give it normal jaws, or like just not have jaws, you know? That could be pretty cool, but they added this huge ass boomerang jaws that I'm not too sure what they're supposed to be, or if there's any enemies that look like this. It just looks a little goofy and like, I don't know. And of course the heavy armor is the Grand Dominator, and I'm torn on this one. I think it looks amazing, but why is the helmet and gloves blue while the rest is bronze? If they had put everything the same color, I think it would look amazing. That said, you can always dye the armors, so maybe, you know, that could be a way out to having this pretty crazy looking armor. Now with all that done, there's only the raids left. These activities require a bunch of people to be in the same raid group with you, and they are tough and require a lot of coordination. So supposedly, these looks won't be too common for people to be sporting. Either way, let's start with the hatchery. The light armor that can be dropped here is the Water Seeker. The medium armor that can be dropped here is the Wanderer. The heavy armor that can be dropped here is the Warmonger. There are also 3 named sets that can drop in the hatchery. The named light armor is the Corsica Bandit, and this one is also one of those compound sets. In Transmog, it is the Sheriff's light armor, but as you can see, the Sheriff's light armor doesn't have a headwear. The hood in this set is the Scorching Sand light hood. The named medium set here is the Scarletly Jongler. I'm not sure how to say that. The Scarletly Jongler. That's how I'm going to say it. Or in Transmog, Rima's medium armor. The named heavy armor here is the Horde Master, which in Transmog is the Grunt Master's medium. That's right, medium. So if you get this heavy armor on the raid and look for it at the Transmog NPC, from the looks of it, since the name is different, you won't find it in heavy, because in Transmog it is a medium armor. So I'm not sure what's going on there, I'm not sure why they did this, but yes, it is called the Grunt Master's medium. Now on to the Devourer, or the Sandworm raid, as many people call it. Here you can get the armor Sclerite Light, or Shanashin's light armor in Transmog. The medium armor is the Sclerite Medium, or Shanashin's medium. The heavy armor is a Sclerite Heavy or Shanation's Heavy in Transmog. In the latest raid at the moment, the Winter Forge, you can get the light armor Frost Weaver, or the Frost Forge Light. I'm not too sure about the name of the medium and the heavy in-game because they never dropped for me, but at the Transmog, if you're looking for them, the medium armor is called the Frost Forged Medium, and I think these all look pretty good. The Winter Forge items do look like a Katakuri theme, and I think that is fantastic. And the heavy armor is called the Frost Forged Heavy. And that's it! Every activity-specific armor sets and their transmogs that are currently available in New World today. That was a lot to go through, and a lot of them definitely looked really cool, though like I mentioned before, more often than sometimes the helmet seems to be really set apart from the rest of the sets and seemed pretty goofy. Also, a reminder that you don't have to spend your transmogs on an entire set. You can pick each part that you want from one or the other and make your own ensemble and dye them to make them seem like they match. Hopefully, this will help you up your fashion game in New World, since we all know fashion is the true endgame of any real MMO. Anyway, please leave a like if this video has helped you in any way, subscribe to see more videos like this, and of course, always nerd on.